It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, where there are two sides to every story. Enjoy the broadcast. Stay tuned. Hello, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Listen, I understand that today you are having a peace rally in Monroeville. That is good. That is a good thing. And I just want to, first of all, say thank you all for tuning in. I know it's early this morning, but I wanted to do a broadcast before the protest, just so I can just kind of energize you guys from where I am. I'm here in Orlando, obviously, and I know that Pastor Buford, Joshua Buford, is leading a protest in Monroeville today, starting at 9 Central Time, which is 10 Eastern, my time. But I wanted to come to you guys just before the protest to encourage you to go out and be a part of this. I mean, I think that Pastor Buford has been very vocal about this from day one. As soon as it happened, he was on the scene, so to speak, with the police there, Mandy, and I saw that he met with Boatwright as well. So it looks like there's a conversation going. So today, protest is just to kind of be vocal about reminding the public and the leadership and the Congress about what it is that we expect from this situation. It was a very unfortunate situation where T. Tunstall lost his life while in police custody. So there has to be some accountability for that. There has to be someone who is willing to say what happened and be held responsible, even if they're having to say what happened and it's not them. They're having to spill the beans on someone else. That's what accountability looks like. Now, I know that one of the issues of this broadcast of this protest is to hold people accountable and to ask for transparency and all of that. And I'm sure that Pastor Buford is going to be specific about that today at the protest, as far as what he means and what the goal of this is. Because mind you guys, with everything that's going on, you want to make sure that you get something out of it, right? Like, we're not protesting. We're not telling you to call Congress. We're not doing all of that for nothing. Now, I know it's been said, many people, Ella, they're still investigating. You got to wait. Well, to that I say, no, we don't. And the reason I say you don't have to wait is because protests are meant to make a statement, okay? This is your way. This is your heartbeat of how you feel about this situation. It needs to be known, and it needs to continue to be known until you get your results of the investigation. Now, once the investigation yields its results, then at that point, the family and the lawyers will have to decide what to do next. But until that time, this protest today is about making sure they understand that we demand accountability. There's some things you guys have to think about during this situation so that you can get what out of it you need. Because the shame in this will be to go through all of this and get nothing out of it. That's going to be the shame, because you're having a protest because you are making a statement to Alabama and Monroeville that ABCD, this is what we want. Now, there's some things I want you guys to think about in this, because I had a conversation the other day with someone very close to what police work looks like, okay? And they asked me about a preliminary autopsy, and I said, I don't think there's anything been said at all about an autopsy. Now, there is a such thing as a preliminary and a final. Okay. What they're going to try to make you focus on, well, it's not over yet. We do the final when everything's over. I get that. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the preliminary one, because preliminary is the same thing as what they call their preliminary findings report. Okay. And the goal is to identify the cause of death. Within 24 to 72 hours, the state of Alabama has a preliminary report about how T. Tunstall died. They have it. They have to. That's just kind of what it is. It's a preliminary. Now, mind you, the preliminary can change. They can say up front, this is what it looks like. And then later on, they could possibly change it. But there is a preliminary. Do not be mistaken about that. Okay. Now, the goal is to let us know the cause of death. And it documents the visible injuries that may or may not have been on T. The visible injuries. Okay. It talks about that as well. So this is basically the first narrative of what really happened to him. Okay. Now, this is why you protest, because you let them know you're still in it. You let them know we're still here. The protest is not about going there and necessarily pointing fingers, but to hold people accountable, you got to call some people out. So I don't know what's going to happen at the protest, but what I'm saying is, if we are holding people accountable, it's okay to say who. It's okay to say, we expect A, B, and C, D from you, and you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's usually how these things happen. Okay. So that's important. Now, the medical examiner is going to focus on what they can see with the naked eye. But during that, they're going to document bruises, gunshot wounds, check for major organ damage, internal bleeding, physical signs of struggle. These are the kind of things that your medical examiner is documenting when they're reviewing his body. Okay. Now, remind you, the preliminary report is not the final word. I want to reiterate that, because even if they come out and say whatever is the preliminary, it could change after they get more information. Okay. So this is something that is real. The preliminary report. Don't be afraid to say those words. The preliminary autopsy. Where is it? What did you guys see on set? Because before his body went in the ground, this report had to be done. Okay. So there's no, well, we didn't know. No, this report has been done, has to be. Now, they may not want to bring it out, but I'm just letting you guys know so that you are aware of what is due to you. There is a preliminary report that would have been nice to hear about, so we can hear from an examiner's point of view what caused his death preliminarily. Okay. They're gonna do a toxicology. They're gonna do all these other kinds of reports. That's true. They have to, and that takes 6 to 12 weeks. You have to wait. Just wait that out. It's coming. However, do not be misled into thinking there isn't a such thing as a preliminary. It's not unheard of. Now, I want you guys to understand. Now, there's a report that distinguishes between the cause of death and the manner of death. Now, that comes into like different categories, and you may have seen or heard about stuff like these, whether it was natural, whether it was an accident, whether it was suicide, homicide, which is the death at the hands of another person, or undetermined. Okay. These are the manners of death that you hear about, that we will hear about T. Tunstall. Okay. Now, they are treated differently by the law. It is true. The preliminary and the final, they are treated differently by the law. Listen, if the death was part of an ongoing criminal investigation, it's possible that the medical examiner may seal those records. They may seal that report from anyone, the media, anybody, because they don't want to compromise the investigation. So that is possible. Okay. I'm giving you all sides of this so that you are aware what's going on and what to expect in situations like this. So it is possible that they're withholding it because they're like, look, this is part of an investigation. We don't want to compromise it, so we're just not going to put it out there. That's also possible. They could wait. They could be backlogged. There could be a lot of reasons why we haven't heard about this preliminary. But like I said, the purpose of my being here is to at least let you know it exists. Okay. Now, like I said, why haven't you heard about this? It could be a backlog. They could be just overwhelmed, haven't gotten to it. It could be complex evidence that they're looking at. Complex evidence could be a possible. It could require more time because of the multiple injuries. There could be so much complex about what happened to T that maybe they don't want to say anything yet. They want to wait until they get more and learn more and the toxicology, and they bring it all together. Okay, that's a possibility as well. And then it could be that the supervisor hasn't reviewed it for it to be released. Okay, so this is why I'm coming here this morning, because it's before the protest, and some of you may or may not be on the line about whether you want to go and be a part of this. You may be thinking, Ella, why should I get involved? Why should we go down there if they're still investigating things? What is it that we're fighting for? Well, what you're fighting for, it's pending, but pending does not mean forgotten, right? You want to make sure that they understand we haven't forgotten. We're still here. We still want results, and we still want accountability. We want transparency in everything. I'm not just talking about, because see, this is the thing. When we say transparency, what do we mean by that? When we say accountability, what do we really mean by that? Who do we want to be accountable to this? Who do we want answers from? So far, you've already gotten an answer from Mandy Armstrong, the chief of police there in Monroeville. She made her statement. Whether we like it or not, she did make a statement about what they experienced with this case. Very bland, but they did make a statement. I haven't heard Mandy, nor have I heard Chief Boatwright. The Sheriff Boatwright. I haven't heard neither one of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. Remind me, I said correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard any of them admonish what the officers did. See, all of that matters. All that matters in transparency, because I need to know that that was messed up. I need to know that. I appreciate the condolences. I think that's nice. That's great. I appreciate that. I appreciate those people in position that acknowledged his death. I want to hear someone say it was wrong how he was treated. That is not proper protocol. Aren't the police supposed to be responsible when someone is in their care, how they're treated? Aren't there some statutes about that in Alabama law, about how the proper way to treat people when they're placed under arrest? Let me tell you guys, when it comes to that type of stuff, you demand that. You should demand that from everyone. Let me tell you who the top law enforcer is in Monroe County. Who is it? The sheriff. Yeah, Sheriff Boatwright is the top law enforcement in Monroeville. Okay, he is, and so is your DA. These are the two people. These are the people you want to watch. Boatwright, I know that he came out and he said that when he was in his custody, they didn't bring him into the jail. They had to call for medical attention and all of this. That is all good, but also know that inside the jail there has to be cameras. There has to be cameras all the way outside of that jailhouse, right? Sheriff Boatwright is in charge of the jail. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. I'm waiting. He is responsible for the jail. So in his transparency, what we want from him is, okay, well, there are cameras inside that jail. All the way, you got the perimeters, I'm sure. So you should, and he may have, let me make that clear, he may have, but he should have placed over those cameras to SBI, Aaliyah. I hope he did that, because that's going to timeline minute by minute. What they did is they pulled in. Was there urgency? Is it just like what they said? This is where all of that comes in. And of course, you still want all the body cam footage from that day, from everyone, all officers. There were 4 officers involved in this, okay? Whether all of them were involved physically doing something or not doing something, there were 4 officers at that scene that day. Now, I've heard them say that 3 people have been placed on paid leave. Why wasn't the 4th person? Is it because he didn't do anything? Well, based on the oath that they take, the police, they say, they swear that they will uphold the law, period, even if it means telling on people who don't. Okay. Now, this thing gets tricky because we talking about accountability, right? So we can't just point the fingers at one person. You have a lot of people that were involved that day, directly or indirectly, that requires your transparency. So when we are fighting for and protesting, we need to make sure that we don't get sidetracked by people that are being nice. Well, he gave his condolences. Okay, thank you. But what else? What else is in your power to help this case? You're the sheriff. You run the jail, so you can make sure that all of the footage is turned over to SBI about that, what happened that day. Everything that may have been said to you that you know was inappropriate, because sometimes even in our jobs, we'll say stuff to certain people because we think they're cool. But we know that now there's a death involved. So there should be no loyalty to no one but T, the state of Alabama. The state of Alabama represents him as far as he died in the hands of police. This is a big deal, and we need to treat it as such. Now, also, another thing I think that for Boatwright, because I want you guys to make sure that you are aware of what's what. He is responsible for the county jail. That's true. Serving warrants, patrolling areas outside city limits. He handles the physical evidence and the initial scene. All right. One that the community holds. I know that this was an MPD thing, but he's still the top law enforcer. I want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind. He is the top law enforcer. He's up here when it comes to what's happening in Monroeville, when it comes to crime. He's the top. All right. And he's the one that the community holds accountable for how an arrest or an incident was handled on the ground. In other words, I think that he should be more vocal about what these officers did. Listen, I understand that Aaliyah is the one that controls the crime. That's Aaliyah. They control the crime in this case now. But Boatwright controls the culture. Make no mistake about it. I'm going to say that again. Aaliyah, SBI, they control the crime right now. They're the ones that's controlling that scene. They're controlling what happened to T. But Sheriff Boatwright, let's not let him off just so willy-nilly. He also controls the culture. He is the one that has to make sure that the citizens of Monroeville feel safe, that this is not going to happen. He needs to admonish what these guys did, that what these police officers did by dragging T was wrong. And I don't know why it's so hard for anyone to say it. Just say it. This is not proper protocol. Because as far as I'm concerned, you might make me think that this is just how y'all do things in Monroeville, Alabama. Say it. What's wrong with saying this is not how he should have been treated? These police officers are put on leave because we need to conduct this investigation to see what went wrong. We need to understand how they were trained. Were these guys, have they completed training? Have they had sensitivity training? Have they had all the training they need? You know, there's rumors that a taser was unleashed. I don't know. We don't really know about that. But if it were, what is the proper protocol for that? How is that supposed to happen? And I know a lot of these answers are going to come when the investigation is completed, guys. I understand that. I don't need people to tell me over and over, I get that. What I'm saying is we got to stop being so passive on what has happened and what is happening. We can't be passive on this. Because the only way you're going to get answers, you got to stay in their face. You got to keep calling Congress. People say, well, why we got to do all that? Let me tell you why you do all that. You do all of that because those are the things that contribute to changing the law. Do you honestly think posting on Facebook is it? No, doing lives, that's not it. They need to know that, number one, we are united in this, and that there's a lot of us united, and that we're consistent and persistent in this. If you want to see a change, you got to be a part of it. You got to be a part of it. Do your part. Not everybody can go down to the protest today and stand out in this heat and for the entire day. Not everybody can do that, but you can post, you can make phone calls, you can do something. What I'm saying is do that something consistently and do it in a persistent way, because at the end of the day, a young man died at the hands in custody. I take that back, not in custody of the police. He died. We're not talking about he was injured. He is no longer with us. He was in their custody. They were the last ones to have him in their custody alive. And it's not a problem that we know what happened. I'm going to take some of these comments because I'm going to definitely be out of here very soon. This was very quick today. Human rights cost nothing but a respect for life. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why you were going to the protest today. His life was not respected. I hope you guys, if we can't agree on anything, everybody can agree on that. But then that's where it stops. We say, yeah, that was bad. Now what? Why? There were 2 police officers that did that. They're on leave. They're paid though. They're not hurting. They're paid. They're on paid leave. Who else should be on paid leave? Who else should be on leave? Should Mandy be on leave? I don't know. But we do know that those officers are. So that's a good first step. Okay? Give credit where it's due. That is a good first step. That they at least acknowledge, okay, we can't have these guys still here. We need to see what's going on. And you also need to look into the entire department and see what their training is. What have they been allowed to do? What have they been allowed to get away with? Have they done this before? There are a lot of questions. That's what transparency is. Getting all of what you need out of this. Not just what they want. Yeah, know what you're due and ask for it. And don't stop asking for it till you get it. Simple. It's simple. Are you saying that there were only 4 cops involved? What I'm saying, based on what I could tell from the video, Hattie, what I can tell from the video is that there was one standing at the car, the police car, because I think he was one of the ones that had opened that door for them to put him in. And then you saw the 2 dragging him and the woman in front. From my understanding, there were 4. Now, if you guys know anything differently, please let me know, because that's all I can see from the video as far as who all was involved in this situation. What I do know is that they should all be held liable. They should all answer in this, is what I'm saying. So moving on, guys. And then, of course, now you know how this happens. When the investigation is over, they're going to turn over their findings to your DA, your district attorney in Monroeville. He is the one who will decide, is there evidence here to charge these officers? What are we looking at here? He's the one that's going to decide that. So right now, that stuff is still being investigated. There's really nothing anyone could do to either speed up the investigation or whatever. And you want them to look at every corner, upside ways, every which way. You want to make sure that they're looking. Okay. So there's nothing that you can do on that respect. As far as we want to know what happened, they're investigating. It takes a lot. This was a serious situation because someone actually died in custody of police. And I do know that calling your congressman helps, because as you notice, they responded to that and said they received several calls. This is how you make a difference. There's no one way. There's no one way for justice. Okay, make no mistake about it. But whatever you're doing, you can't do it one time and think, oh, well, because that's exactly what they expect you to do. They expect us to be like, well, that was like 2-3 weeks ago in that video. It'll die down. They were upset that day, but it'll die down. No, it's not going to die down. It's not going to die down, nor should it. Because it was him today. Who knows who it could be the next day. Right? And this is why, as a community, you have to stay engaged. Stay engaged with this. Okay? Will the report tell how many revolve? It should. Yes. That report should reveal everything, especially if they're looking at the body cam footage, Hattie. They should look at that body cam footage and they should hear what was said. Any little snarly remarks they may have made, it should be heard. We don't want you turning off the camera so we can't hear it. No, we need to know what's in the heart of these people that are sent out here to protect and serve. Are they protecting and serving us in a way that, that's hidden and we just don't know what they're saying behind closed doors? You know what I'm saying? This is going to bring it to light. So when that body cam, because based on Mandy's statement, they turned over all of that to SBI. So SBI should have possession. Now, I hope that Sheriff Boatwright turned over his too. I'm just saying. I don't know. We haven't heard that. I saw his statement. It was very matter of fact. His post that he made, He didn't say anything about the officers. I think that he has input on how they train and what they're doing. You're the top law enforcer. I don't know why you're there if you don't have some say so. Okay. And if you don't want to, that's one thing. But are you responsible is another thing. That's the part. Because if we're going to hold people accountable, you need to know who you should be holding accountable, and you need to say it. Don't just say a blanket, well, we're holding everyone accountable. Who you holding accountable? Mandy, Boatwright, Aaliyah, SBI. Who is it? I want to know the who. I want to know the who, what, where, when, and why. That's what I hope is addressed today at your protest. I think that Pastor Buford has done an amazing job, guys. Like, he jumped on this right away and got involved, made his promise to the family, has kept his word. But at the end of the day, there are questions that all of them need to answer, including Boatwright. Just saying. Has there been a petition initiated? Not that I know of, Patricia. Not that I know of. I don't know anything about a petition. But what do you mean? A petition for what? Do tell. Because if there's something else we need to do, baby girl, let's do it. For real. Whatever we could do. Good morning to you. Thank you for what you do. Proud of you. This incident is heartbreaking. Praying for the family and you as well. Thank you so much, dear. I appreciate that. Definitely. I'm in touch with Sharon. I know Sharon from years. I mean, we were all childhood friends. We grew up in the same hood over in Pine View Heights, Alabama, right? And her sister and all of us, we used to play out in the cow pasture. And y'all know Van White and cow pasture, you know, we were just hard-headed kids. But I feel that I have to do my part. My community is hurting and I have to do my part. Now, my part, obviously, today I will not be at the protest. I'm here in Orlando still getting ready to get out of here because I have an appointment. But at the same time, you guys are there. And I pray that you go to the protest today. It's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it's at the City Hall, right in front of the City Hall. I think that's perfect because now they're going to get to see. Now, I hope there are a lot of you guys that's going out there, guys. Keep it peaceful. There's no reason to get violent, no reason to have signs that are just inappropriate. There's no reason for that. Today, you want to make a statement because you got to make a statement in these kind of cases or they're not going to give you anything. If anybody who thinks that we could just sit around and wait on the investigation, then you are definitely not aware of how this works. Protests are done for a reason. They are to make a statement. Today, you need to make your statement where you stand on T. Tunstall and how he was handled by the Monroeville Police Department. You saw it on video. So when you go out there today and you're getting dressed to get ready for this protest, I want you to keep all of that in mind. Yeah, I remember that video. If you need to go watch it again, go watch it again. Go watch the video and you'll see why Pastor Buford is so passionate, as well as so many of you. Those of you who are not in Monroeville, as I am not, and you want to know what to do your part, go call Congress. Call Congress and tell them how you feel. And it's all over my page, the names. You have Shamari Figures is your representative from Monroeville, Monroe County. And then you have two senators, okay? Your senators, Katie Britt and Tuberville. Now, Tuberville's running for governor, I understand, right? So is Boatwright. Isn't Boatwright running for leadership? He's trying to be the sheriff again. Okay, that's great. I understand a lot of you like him. That's great. I don't have a reason not to either. My thing is, yeah, he made a post, but my thing also is, what else can he do? I know that he went to Miss Tunstall personally and he showed up at her house and gave his condolences. He said it. And those that know him close know that he feels bad about this. I get all of that. Okay. I'm not stuck there. Neither should you. You should be moving past that to say, okay, he's the top enforcer. What can he do for us? Since you feel so bad, what can you do? Can you ensure the community that these officers do not reflect what protocol should look like? I need to hear that. For me to feel condolenced, I need to hear you say that. Speak on it. Don't be afraid to say this was, we can't just accept anything, okay? Not if you want the results that you deserve. Now, at the end of the day, guys, when these results come out, we just have to pray about it, accept whatever it is. if that's what you want to do. I mean, the lawyers will obviously handle that side of it. What I'm saying is, while you're waiting on the investigation, it is okay to protest. It is okay to call Congress. It is okay to keep saying how you don't like what you saw. It is okay to ask questions. Why didn't you take him to the hospital instead of the jail? The jail is for correction. It's not a medical facility. It's a correctional facility. Okay. So if you know, because you had to see something to give him Narcan, this drug that's supposed to be for overdose. What made you think he had overdosed on drugs? Why give him that? And that's the question. There are a lot of little questions in these corners nobody's answering. And you know why? Because nobody's asking. So if you want an answer, you have to ask the question. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anyone make you feel like, well, y'all just don't listen to Ella. Just, wait on the investigation. No, you don't wait on the investigation. You make it known what you want out of this investigation. You make it known what you will not stand for moving forward when it comes to how you're treated, because they will only do what you allow them to do. And if they get away with doing this, guys, we don't know if these police officers' actions caused the death of T. Tunstall. That is my disclaimer. Let me say it again for the people in the back. We do not know if the actions of the police at Monroeville Police Department caused the death of T. Tunstall. What we do know is what we did see. That is what I'm talking about. I am saying we should be upset about how he was treated. Thank God for the person that got this video footage, or we would have known nothing. He would have just been dead and nobody would have known what really happened. We saw them dragging him. We saw that. Now, if that's protocol, say it. If everybody gets dragged, say it. But if not, say that too. We need to hear that. If you really want to, and I'm talking to Monroeville Police Department, and I'm talking to Boatwright as well. If you really want to do something other than give your condolences and you're praying for the family, if you want to do something other than that, then you admonish that. You say this was wrong. You say this is not how we behave. You say this is not how we should behave. You say that. You control the culture, Boatwright. You're the top law enforcer in Monroe County. The sheriff is. You're running up for election. And I think that if you really want to make a platform and get people to trust you, again, this is your test. This is your test. This is the test to see. Now, I understand, because I saw Sharon's post and she said that Boatwright agreed to look into this for her son. I saw it. I read her words, and I'm saying it in quote, end quote. That's exactly what she said. He agreed to look into this for her son. Well, then I expect you to do that too. We're going to call you out on that. We're calling you out on that. How do you expect to? How are you going to do that? Are you going to do everything necessary? Turn over the footage from the jail. Talk about what they may have said to you that may have been inappropriate. Talk about how what they did and how they treated him was wrong. Give your full transparency in this. That's all I'm saying. Now, if he's done that, God bless you. God bless you if he's done that, or he's done something that I just don't know about, because I don't know everything that's going on in this case. I don't profess to know everything that's going on in this case. However, what I'm seeing is I don't really see anybody in Monroeville other than Buford really speaking out against this, like with a megaphone. I don't see it. Okay. I don't see it. Stephanie says, good morning. Praying for a mighty move today and the people come out. Me too, Stephanie. I do. I really hope that everybody goes out. Monroeville holds a lot of dirt and has evolved to this. It must be clean. See, this is what I'm talking about. You see how Hattie is making sure that it's acknowledged? Because basically what I'm reading from her post right there is basically telling me, you know what? There's a lot of stuff going on in Monroeville that people aren't talking about, Ella. And this is it's good that we're having this conversation, because it needs to be talked about. We need to get something done in Monroeville to make stuff like this not happen again. Because I'm telling you guys, if you don't seal this moment, if you don't capitalize on this and do something about it, it's going to happen again. The treatment of people in Monroeville, because they need to know it's unacceptable. And you know who's going to make them know it? when this case, this investigation, the noise you make, calling Congress, by calling Congress, Congress can push the local officials or SBI or whomever. They have the real power. They can make sure, hey, look, I need to make sure you guys are very transparent down there in Monroe County because I'm getting all these phone calls. That's why you keep calling them, because now the pressure's on them too, because they also too want to be elected. You guys got to stop just voting for people just because they're nice. Okay. You got to vote for people that's making a difference in your community, and they're transparent, and you know they're all about you, because just being nice is not good enough. That's not good enough. And if you think so, then that will explain why we're in this situation. All right. It's time for all to rise up, be decent and in order. Absolutely. The lack of action. That's right. And I've said this ever since I found out about this protest, that it has to be a peaceful one, guys. Now I'm all about that, because I've had a peace rally in Monroeville as well. So I know what Pastor Buford is up against. We want to pray for him, that he will lead the community today in a way that yields results. Okay, I will add that we're not just standing on those in front of City Hall just to make a headline. That is not what this is about. That too will help. Okay, and that's a page book right out of how Martin Luther King did it. That helps, but you want to get something out of it. You want there to be reform in Monroe County. You want your leaders that you're voting for to initiate that, talk about that. When you guys are going and you're getting ready to cast your ballot, I think it's next month, I guess. I mean, May, for that's next month, for sheriff. Think about this. Think about this. Think about what he said. Think about what he may or may not have done that has yielded some kind of change in this. You need reform in Monroeville, Alabama, with the police and how the citizens are treated, period. And you guys have to understand that's why you're going to this protest today. You are standing in the gap for those of us who can't be there, and you're standing there to make a statement. Protests make statements. What statement are you all making today in Monroeville? I want you to think about that. What statement are you making? What questions do you have? What do you have for Mandy? What questions do you have for her? What do you want to see more out of her? I see that a lot of you are not happy about her statement. A lot of you know, I've seen that you're just like, oh no, this is crazy. They're covering up something. And it could be that they are covering up something. I don't know. None of us really know till that investigation comes out. However, what we do know is that her statement doesn't align well with the video. We do know that, right? She said he was faking it. He does this all the time, right? I thought that was uncalled for. I didn't think that was needed to be said, because we don't know that. How do we know that you're telling the truth? Do you have footage of him faking? Have we seen that anywhere? Who's seen that? Just because she said it doesn't make it true, right? And I saw also Pastor Buford was actually making a call out, like the local leadership. I know that he said there's one councilman that did go to her. I know who that one is. I know it was Anthony Thomas, and I appreciate that. He made that statement here on this show that he was going to go. He told me don't worry about what he's doing, but you know, hey, I'm not, but they should be the ones who have to vote for you. Okay. So all of you who are in leadership, the person who is the council person in charge of Clausdale, who is that? I think it's Thelma McDaniel, right? Has she made a statement? This happened in her jurisdiction. I don't know, guys. The power, you guys actually have all the power. I don't think you realize it, but you have all the power, because when you vote, that gives you power. When you voice your opinion, that gives you power. But you got to follow it up with real action, though. And real action is taking place today at the Monroeville City Hall with this protest led by Pastor Buford. I pray for you guys. I hope that you get the answers that you're looking for. I will come back tonight at 8:30 Eastern, my time, 8:30 my time, tonight to talk about the results of the protest. Those of you, if you are going to the protest, please send me any video footage, pictures, anything you have, so that I can display it tonight on the show and we can talk about it some more. How about that? Yeah. Yes, results is the outcome that will benefit the people. That's right. We got to have the results, guys. I'm not all about this talk. I'm not all about this kissing black babies and all this kind. I'm not all about that stuff. I want to see real reform. And real reform is reflected in the law change, regimen change, regime change. That is how we make sure that our voice is making a difference, because something changes. Oh, no. You got to know next time if your officers, Mandy, you need to make sure your officers are trained. Why weren't you on the scene? Why wasn't there yellow tape put up around the scene? Why did nothing happen like this was just a casual event? Why? Is that really how it's supposed to be? Because at that point, it's a crime scene, right? I mean, I just want to know, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I want to know, when exactly did you notice that he was in a medical emergency? Was it when we saw you dragging him? Did you realize it then? Was it in the car? Was it when you got to the jail? At what point did you realize that he was under a medical emergency? And if you were assuming that he was just faking and he really was passed out and unconscious, then that falls on MPD training, because there's nothing wrong with being cautious. When you got him in the car, how do we know what happened from the time you put him in that car to the time you made it to the jail? What happened? What were you saying in there? What were you saying to him? You said that he walked in the car. Looks like you threw him in the car to me. Okay? So there's a lot of inconsistencies that the investigation should yield results for. We should have all these answers. But in the meantime, guys, be patient. Also, be vigilant. Now, when I say vigilant, I mean like by making your phone calls, calling Congress, making posts, tagging your local officials in it. If you're friends with some of these councilmen, tag them in some of your posts. Let them see what the community is upset about, because there's going to come a day when they're going to come to you for something and they're going to want your vote. And you need to remind them of this. Those who don't show up do not deserve your vote, period. And that includes, well, you know, the mayor, I understand that he's under the weather or whatever, but that's neither here nor there. There's no excuse for anyone not being a part of this. There's no excuse. I don't care who it is. There's no excuse. Everybody needs to get involved. This is a community problem. Now, I don't live in Monroeville. I still have family in Monroeville, but I've always been an advocate for what happens there or what doesn't happen there. Okay. So I just want to just thank you guys for tuning in for this brief show this morning. I just wanted to encourage you who are on the fence about whether you should go to the protest. Yes, please show up. Show up for T, guys. This is how we prove that we're not just sitting around waiting. No, we want you to know we expect transparency, accountability. We need those cam footages out. We need all of them. From the time you pursued him until his death, we need those cam footage. We need the body cam footage. We need that. We need to see that. We need this autopsy, this preliminary one, if you can. If it's not tied up in the investigation and you're just waiting. But we need something. No one has said anything about the cause, the actual cause of his death. So we are demanding that. That's what this protest is about. Please be safe, be encouraged, and make sure that you're setting examples for how we should act when we're demanding what we want, guys. No violence, please. That is not necessary. And you guys need to pray with and for each other through this situation, okay? Well, I'm going to get out of here. And thank you. You're welcome, Tyall. He says, we on the way. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Thank you so much. And please make sure you take a carload of people with you, okay? Have your signs and all of that kind of stuff. But I want to hear from you guys throughout the day about how it is. If someone goes live at the protest, please tag me in it. I need video footage for tonight's broadcast because we're going to come back at 8:30 Eastern so we can continue this conversation. You guys have a great day. I love you. And I'll see you next time. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.